You ever have one of those moments where life feels so ridiculous you gotta just sit down and laugh? I mean, picture this. There I am stirring a pot of my five-alarm chili, nursing a cold craft beer, and watching my security camera feed like it's primetime TV. And what do I see? Mara Donahue's elderly parents. Yeah, the same Mara who runs our HOA. Like it's her own personal fiefdom, standing out in the falling snow at my wrought iron gate, bundled up like extras from a Christmas movie holding a lopsided homemade fruitcake. Meanwhile, Mara herself is losing her mind, screaming into the intercom, insisting they're on the guest list for my property like this is Studio 54 and not my quiet slice of Whitetail Ridge. Man trespassing, still trespassing, even if you're holding baked goods. You know what I mean? Let me back up a sec. My name's Kyle Jensen, 38 years old, lifelong introvert, and after years of grinding out endless code in Silicon Valley, I finally cashed out and did the one thing every burned out software developer secretly dreams about. I got out. Bought myself a 1970s A-frame cabin on 5 quiet acres in Whitetail Ridge Mountain Estates. No traffic noise, no bosses breathing down my neck. Just pine trees, deer at dawn, and a bunch of retirees who kept to themselves. It was exactly what I needed time to fix up a cabin with my own hands. Grow a real beard, maybe figure out how to use power tools without losing a finger, and just breathe. That place even had a little guest cottage. And let me tell you, I had big plans for that spot, home theater, maybe a sauna, if I got ambitious. What it was never going to be was a crash pad for other people's relatives, no matter how hard the HOA president begged. Enter Mara Donahue. If you ever met her, you'd get it. Imagine the CEO of Neighborhood Watch merged with a part-time alpaca breeder and the world's nosiest busybody. Mara ran Whitetail Ridge like it was her birthright, and from day one I was public enemy number one. First crime, not showing up to her Thursday night potlucks. Second, my doormat, big bold letters, go away. Subtle, right? But what really got her goat was my guest cottage just sitting there empty and mysterious. In Mara's mind, that was wasted potential. Why not turn it into overflow housing for the HOA board's in-laws or host her precious Harvest Festival guests? I kept telling her politely at first that my property was private, not community storage. She just couldn't accept it. Started with little friendly suggestions, maybe donate the cottage for HOA use just for special occasions, of course. I nipped that in the bud. Next thing I know, I'm getting HOA citations for the wildest stuff, uncleared icicles, public safety hazard, excessive solitude, which, by the way, isn't even a thing. And my favorite, some handwritten note slid under my door warning that hot tubs require board approval. Joke's on her, I don't even own a hot tub. Now, most folks would take the hint. Not Mara. She just doubled down. I came back from Home Depot one day to find brand new floral curtains in the guest cottage, and no joke, a ceramic cat figurine staring at me from the window. She'd actually gone inside. When I confronted her, she just smiled and chirped that her parents were brightening up the place. That night, I changed every lock and installed a security camera system that would make the Pentagon jealous. You'd think that'd scare her off, but Mara just took it as a challenge. Suddenly I had wellness checks every other week, Mara at the gate with muffins and binoculars concerned about the guest cottage. One time she looked me dead in the eye and said she had ancestral rights to the cottage because of some long-lost amendment in the HOA bylaws from 1972. You can't make this stuff up. But then she went nuclear. Filed a permit with the county to build a wheelchair ramp up to my guest cottage, listed the reason as future visits by elderly parents. I shut that down with a call to my lawyer, but in hindsight, that should have been my warning. Because the next week on a frosty Tuesday morning, I'm sipping coffee, watching the sunrise, and what do I see coming up my drive? A moving truck. Behind it, Mara's luxury SUV. Out pops her parents, both in their 80s, dragging suitcases. A home health nurse steps out, then movers start unloading a hospital bed, a treadmill, the works. They were about to move into my guest cottage like they owned it. I just shook my head, hit the button for my automatic gate, and watched with a certain satisfaction as it slammed shut with a clang. That moving truck had to back all the way down our winding mountain road, Mara waving her arms like an air traffic controller having a meltdown. But Mara, she doesn't quit. Filed a complaint with the county accusing me of neglecting elder care obligations. Tried to claim HOA membership means you gotta house board members' relatives. When that didn't work, she called Adult Protective Services, said I'd promised her parents shelter, then heartlessly turned them out into the cold. APS showed up at my door, 2 caseworkers looking both serious and confused. I invited them in, poured them some coffee, and showed them the security footage Mara breaking into the cottage, setting up candles, hanging family photos, even dragging a hospital bed up the driveway at 2 in the morning. One caseworker actually snorted with laughter. The other closed his notebook, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "You've got a squatter problem in Pearls." I liked him immediately. He even asked for my chili recipe. But that's when I realized if I kept playing defense, Mara would just keep raising the stakes. So I switched tactics, hired the sharpest property lawyer in 3 counties, had him comb through every HOA bylaw, every financial record he could get his hands on. And oh man, what we found was something else. Mara had diverted HOA funds to pay for landscaping around my guest cottage, claiming community beautification on my property. She'd forged my signature on access forms. She'd even put my guest cottage address down on her parents' health insurance forms as their primary residence, which is straight-up insurance fraud. I filed a formal grievance with the state HOA board backed by stacks of evidence security footage of Mara trespassing, trying to pick locks, ordering contractors to my place, and yes, that hospital bed scene, complete with her muttering about ungrateful neighbors. The state took it seriously. Real seriously. Suddenly, Mara's world turned upside down. County inspectors started showing up at her alpaca farm checking for code violations. Somebody could have been me, who knows tipped them off that her shed was being used as an unlicensed yoga studio and maybe a rogue voting precinct during elections. They found all sorts of violations, improper fencing, unpermitted buildings. Fines stacked up. The real climax, emergency HOA board meeting at the community center. Every resident packed in, each handed a neat little packet of Mara's greatest hits break-ins, forged documents, creative accounting, and security footage of her Olympic-level trespassing. When it came time for the vote of no confidence, the tally was 6-1, Mara being the only one. The look on her face, jaw-flapping, cheeks red as a beet, was worth every awkward Thursday night potluck I ever dodged. But it didn't stop there. The insurance fraud got the DA's attention. Mara faced criminal charges, could have been 5 years in prison, $50,000 in fines. Her parents, bless them, got settled into a nice retirement home where Hank plays bingo all day and Doey is the queen of blackjack. And when Mara's judge saw the stack of evidence, he didn't even hesitate, sent her straight to trial for multiple felonies. She actually fainted in the courtroom, flopped over her lawyer like a bad stage actor. So yeah, now every time I glance at my security camera and see someone approaching the gate, I get a little chuckle. Funny how the folks who scream the loudest about community are always the ones who think your property is theirs for the taking. Makes you wonder, where do you draw the line between being a good neighbor and protecting what's yours? Drop a comment, let me know where you stand. Ever had to deal with an HOA president, gone wild, or fought for your right to just be left alone? Let's hear your stories. Who's right, who's wrong, and what does justice look like where you live?